Again, thank you for your time and your attention for being here. I know you've had a relative busy afternoon, but I thank you for being here. I want to talk about a magical moment that appears in all of our lives among many magical moments. When you think about the birth of your children, when you think of perhaps your wedding day, when you think about perhaps some wonderful career move that took place in your life, those are all magical moments that make impressions upon our hearts for a lifetime. But today I want to talk about another magical moment that you might already be experiencing, or perhaps you're looking forward to it, and that magical moment is the moment of retirement. Retirement is something that many of us look forward to. It's that period of life that we can lay aside all of our troubles and all the things that we have to do on a regular, continuous basis, and then enter into what we call that time of leisure, that time of pleasure, that time where we don't have to be concerned about punching a clock, meeting the time limit, being certain places at certain times. However, the thing I want to impress upon you is this, though, is retirement is something that everyone should plan for. When we plan for it, we make sure that we're positioning ourselves to enjoy the best possible retirement as possible. One of the things that we don't want to do when it comes to retirement is we don't want to just drift into this period of retirement, but we want to arrive safe and sound. That means that we've taken the time out to put together a plan that we feel will work for us, a plan that's flexible for us, a plan that is designed just for us so that we might enjoy retirement at its best. So retirement is that aspect of future living that we all look forward to. Effective retirement planning begins now and not later. That means that you and I don't have the luxury of waiting for another time to do this. We need to be thinking about it now. Some may say it's too early. Some may say it's something we can put off for a later time. But I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you that now is the time, wherever you are in life, to be thinking about retirement. Retirement planning is a broad subject matter that involves the adjustment from the regular workaday world routine, as I said earlier, to a life of leisure and to a life of ease. Let me introduce to you at least 4 things that will help you in terms of a good retirement plan. First of all, retire with a plan. Don't just retire. In advance, think about what you want to do. Think about how you're going to put that plan in motion, and then think about the flexibility that can be built into that plan to allow you to not be driven by it, but rather that it works for you. Forrest Bowman reminds us that the single most important factor is the recognition that successful retirement requires planning. What's part of that planning process? Well, for many of us, one of the first things come to us is how much money is it going to take for me to retire? How much money is it going to take for me to live out retirement? So commit to a savings plan. Commit to options that are good for you. These programs can range from employer-responsible personal investment options and strategies. Younger workers, ages 20 to 30, should maximize their workplace matching contributions if they have those. And whatever you do, pray that Social Security and Medicare, as we know it, will be around when it comes your time to retire, because that's a critical part of the equation. Jonathan Skinner, in his work, Are You Saving Enough for Retirement?, gives us an alarming statistic that reminds us that 43% of American households are at risk to substantial declines in retirement incomes. That means that even though we save, and even though we are frugal, even though we put aside and lay aside with that plan, we also have to be prepared for the fact that that amount that we set aside is subject to some drastic declines because of the things that we may be facing. One of the major culprits that we'll be looking at is health care, because health care can make an astronomical amount of stress upon our savings, and we have to plan with that in view. The survey also says that baby boomers adjust more quickly than others, according to the survey, because baby boomers somehow or another seem to have the ability to adjust when it comes to doing without. Perhaps it's because of our legacy of doing without on the beginning, and now when we reach retirement age, it's easier for us to go back and do without rather than those that have somewhat of that entitlement generation, and it makes it very difficult and unknown for them to go back to that area. Most households cannot save enough to guard against future contingencies, so you have to be careful in your planning that you don't overspend that which you have saved. Dr. O.S. Hawkins, in his book Anthology, he encourages us and reminds us how important it is to use a biblical principle that causes us to look at the life of ants. When we see ants, we see how ants are able to plan for seasons of plenty and seasons when they're not so good. Ants plan for seasons of harvest, and then they also plan for seasons of few in terms of wintertime when things are meager and hard to get along. And sometimes if you get an opportunity, study the life of ants. You and I can learn some powerful lessons that we can apply in our lives as it relates to retirement. Don't forget to identify a right age for you to retire. There are those agencies out there that will tell you a certain age which you should retire, but you should identify for yourself what you think is the best age for you. For instance, many retire at age 55 by taking reduced benefits, but the whole idea with reduced benefits is the strategy is that you have lower benefits for a longer period of time. They're planning on a larger or a longer mortality rate. Others retire later with maximum benefits for a shorter period of time, which is just the opposite. There's a shorter period of time in terms of the mortality rate, but there are larger benefits that they can examine and they can take advantage of. But you have to decide what's best for you. There are a host of professionals that can help you to decide. Jeremy Burke, in his work, Who Saves for Retirement, reminds us, according to a 2012 survey, it reveals that formal retirement is not necessary to motivate savings, although that's wonderful. So you don't need a formal, elaborate plan in order to get motivated for it. He reminds us that there are just some simple rules of thumbs that you can employ. Save a little bit every time that you get paid. Set aside savings and then don't disturb them so that they can be there for you when it comes time for retirement. And don't forget to be mindful of your health. Invest in your health along the way, because not only do you want to enjoy your retirement, but you want to have a quality retirement. So retire with a plan, and then retire with a purpose. That means identify some items that are of interest to you. It's a good chance, according to recent surveys, that the things that you dislike today, you'll dislike tomorrow. The things that you like today, you won't like tomorrow. So begin to identify within your own life and lifestyle the things that you would like to do and the things that you don't like to do. That's helpful in properly planning your retirement, so you don't go down some trail that somebody has designed for you that you're really not interested in, and that becomes a forced fit. I, for one, am a big fan of preparing a bucket list. A bucket list is some nice priorities for you, knowing that those priorities may change over time, but it allows you to pinpoint some things that you can involve yourself in terms of identifying a purpose. And then learn to invest yourself in the lives of others. Listen, folks, many of us have skill sets. We have things in terms of our education. We have things in terms of art and music. There are many, many wonderful things that we can use to invest in the lives of others. That becomes a purpose for us. It's not so much advancing our cause as it is pouring ourselves in the lives of others. When we do that, quality of retirement takes on a new sense of purpose, because now it's not only about us, but it's about us making a difference in the lives of other people. So what's wrong with becoming a mentor? What's wrong with sharing your experiences with others? What's wrong with pouring your life in the lives of other individuals during those retirement years? And it should be something that you enjoy doing. Investigate the needs of your community. There are service programs, there are volunteer programs, there are charitable organizations, there are churches. There are many things that you can do to give your retirement a purpose. Thirdly, not only should you retire with a plan, not only should you retire with a purpose, but also learn to refrain from plummeting. When I talk about plummeting, that is this. Understand that there is a distinct difference between leisure time and idleness. Remember, leisure time is the totality of the time that you have in terms of retirement that you can use at your discretion. Idleness is different over and against that, in that idleness is that time when you find yourself bored. That's the time when, if you're not careful, you can go down that downward spiral case and enter into boredom. Boredom can lead to frustration. Frustration can lead to depression. Now, all of a sudden, this magical moment called retirement has become something that you dread, something that you wish you had not done. You begin to second guess yourself. So be careful that you don't allow yourself to fall into that moment called plummeting. Guard against free falling into that by avoiding those things that cause you to become idle. Then you'll overindulge. You'll get into overeating, overindulgence. You'll get into a whole lot of things that can result in illness. Guard against overcommitment. Don't allow people to overcommit you to things that you really don't want to do. Just because you have an interest in it does not necessarily mean that you want to commit that much time to it. So improper planning, if you're not careful, can be an invitation to depression. Now, fourthly and finally, I want you to think about retiring with the idea to retool. To retool means that you might consider some post-retirement options that you haven't thought about. Some people consider post-retirement work. Some people consider post-retirement self-employment. Others consider, myself, this was big with me, educational pursuits, because in retirement mode, you have more time to develop to those things, to give your time to, and make it a wonderful experience in your own life. So think about not only retirement, but think about it as retooling, repositioning yourself to be better available to serve your church, to serve others. Retool with the idea of usefulness and lending yourself to a process that's going to help others to be beneficiaries rather of your skill set and of your expertise. So in conclusion, I want you to think about this. As I said earlier, retirement is an effective process that you should lend yourself to, but remember, the time to plan for retirement is now. Not tomorrow, not after a while, not that I'll think about it, but do it now, because now when you think about it, you're in the planning stage. Retire with a plan. Retire with a purpose, refrain from plummeting, and also retire with the idea of retooling. Forrest Brown, in his work entitled It's Your Life, It's Your Call, You Call the Shots, he says that only you can determine when to retire, where to retire, how much money you will need, and what you will do in that retirement. In closing, I'm reminded of a movie that I saw. It was called Drumline, and perhaps you might have seen that movie. And you remember in that movie, Devon and his friends, they struggled with how to get on time and how to get on task. And the band leader in that movie made a powerful statement that I think is applicable to all of us. And he simply said this when he was talking to those young people who were part of that, wanted to be a part of that band. He put it this way. He said, if you're on time, you're late. He said, but if you're early, you're on time. Take that same principle and apply it to retirement. Don't wait until it's time to retire to start planning. Be early and start planning now, and you'll find that you've positioned yourself to enjoy a magical moment called retirement. You've planned for it. It has flexibility that suits you, and you can be of great service to yourself, to your community, to your family, and to all those who are around you. And we certainly wish all of you a happy retirement, and we hope and pray that you live to see that day, but begin planning now. Let me say thank you for your time, and thank you for your attention. Thank you.